Hello everyone, thank you so much for stopping my channel once again. I am glad to have you. As you already know, I'll be studying at Georgetown McDonald School of Business this July. In the meantime, I've been stuck at home in academic limbo, and I thought to myself, what better use of my time than to read business literature? In that vein, I would like to discuss a book that I read in my spare time. As with all my videos thus far, I will use a script to help organize my thoughts. So, I finished reading a book called Heart, Smarts, Guts, and Luck, which is, let me get that again, which is a book about 4 prevalent characteristics in successful entrepreneurs. Just a quick side note, I'll be providing brief descriptions of the many books that I read until I can appropriately document my business school journey at Georgetown. Back to the book. This book was written by Anthony K. Jan, Richard Harrington, Sun Yan Hsay. And to the authors, I apologize if I mispronounce your names. I won't discuss the biographies of the authors, though I will provide links in the description so you can find more information about them on your own. Let's begin with heart. The author defines heart as the source of an authentic vision and soul of a business calling, while providing that heart-dominant entrepreneurs are composed of purpose and passion, sacrifice and work ethic and nuance. To go a step further, heart-dominated entrepreneurs don't spend their time planning business ventures because they believe a company's premise is dependent on its purpose. Consequently, 70% of the successful entrepreneurs that the authors researched did not begin with a long, drawn-out business plan. Heart-dominated businessmen and businesswomen have a strong sense of self-sacrifice that is inherent with business building. And lastly, these types of entrepreneurs are nuanced, meaning their visions and actions can differentiate them from other competitors. The authors later go on to say that these types of entrepreneurs can really excel by surrounding themselves with an appropriate team of like-minded people, allowing the team ample opportunities to make decisions that really benefit the mission of the company. Just some fun facts that the authors noted. Of the Forbes top 100 wealthiest people in America, 55 of them are founders of their own companies, 31 of them are CEOs of other high-level executives, and 14 of them inherited their wealth. So the upside is more than half of the wealthiest individuals in America are entrepreneurs. Further on this list, founders account for more than 84% of that wealth, measuring at $478 billion. In short, there is hope for us. Before I transition, I would like to note that the authors described Richard Branson and Steve Jobs as 2 notable entrepreneurs who portray heart-like characteristics. So these 2 are examples of those who are overwhelming sense of drive and passion and purpose. Let's talk about smarts. Authors to Jan Harrington and Hsay encapsulate business smarts into 4 categories: book smarts, street smarts, people smarts, and creative smarts. This is really important, as many of us, I believe, typically think of smarts along 2 dimensions, such as book smarts and street smarts. Let's break down these further and see how they can be useful in entrepreneurship. With book smarts, within the context of business, we can see individuals who are adept at calculating numbers and who are comfortable observing trends. This is vital in the scope of management where informed decision-making is considered normal. However, book smarts isn't everything. Comically, that is the title of the chapter. IQ is only the beginning. Though entrepreneurs who are primarily book smarts are excellent for scaling businesses or expanding business once funding for the business has been secured. What about street smarts? This type of intellect is defined as someone who has arisen through the ranks with some broken bones. According to the authors, a street smarts-oriented businessman or woman lacks a formal education and really learns from life experiences to conquer any obstacle put before them. I feel that this type of intellect is really important in entrepreneurship, as founders really need to rely and learn from many instances of failure. Experiencing failure can yield a very valuable information about the direction and position of your company. That is my takeaway from street smarts anyways. Let's talk people smarts. This type of intellect can be further annotated in 3 parts. Business leaders and entrepreneurs with people smarts are able to sense how others react in ambiguous settings and circumstances. Second, these types of intellects are great at prioritizing relationships with others. And finally, those with people smarts are superior at developing talent and retaining skillful individuals. CEO and co-founder of Blackstone, the Steven Schwartzman heavily utilizes people smarts and has determined it as a useful trait among leaders. In organizations that are complex, he mentions that it is integral to figure out if there's a way to satisfy everyone's needs to predict what people will want to do. This can impact the production of an organization. And you know what? I didn't even consider people smarts as a form of intellect. Yet it makes sense that leaders would need to understand their subordinates on a deeper level. Think about it. If a leader is not sympathetic to employees of the immediate team or broader context of the organization, then isn't it likely that employees will feel underappreciated and ultimately jump ship to leave that organization? Maybe that could explain the reason why millennials only stick around an organization for an average of 2.8 years. I wonder if my assumption can be backed by tangible evidence. Let's talk about creative smarts. The authors of the book define this type of intellect as individuals, and I quote them here, who have the ability to grasp patterns that others don't and even observe new ones. However, this skill is rarer amongst business smarts-oriented people. Guy Laliberté, pardon my French, or founder of Cirque du Soleil, completely reimagined the entire world of circus, and he would be one who possesses creative smarts. Entrepreneurs with creative smarts are more likely to be innovators within an organization as they are talented at generating ideas. Sony's Akio Morita would be an example of an entrepreneur who's creative. Within the scheme of entrepreneurship, it would make sense that creativity is important, not just for idea generating, but also recognizing trends that others can't. You know what? I wholeheartedly wish that I had more creativity. Seems like a good skill to have for an entrepreneur. Let's talk about the third trait of an entrepreneur, guts. And yes, it takes some guts to be an entrepreneur. The authors of the book define guts as the courage to make things happen with the will to act during critical moments of initiation, endurance, and evolution. And with that, they introduced the guts hierarchy, which consists of the guts to initiate a business venture, the guts to endure through troubling circumstances, and the guts to evolve the business to various stages of startup. These various facets of guts can be seen through the myriad crossroads that entrepreneurs face during their journey. These crossroads might include the need to pivot or change the original mission or strategy, the desire to remain the leader of a company or gain wealth as an exit, knowing when to rotate out your founding team members, and finally whether to retain or sell your business. Guts-dominated entrepreneurs are what authors refer to as restless individuals. Those within an organization that possess guts provide the bravery and take necessary actions for the betterment of the company. Lastly, let's talk about luck. The authors define luck mainly as an internal characteristic, relying on the mindset of a leader, in this case those with the right attitude and network building skills that are required for lucky individuals. Those with lucky attitudes are humble, intellectually curious, and optimistic. These individuals have the mindsets that intersect with their ability to form what the authors call lucky networks. I will go into each of these equations now. The authors base the foundations of a lucky attitude on humility. Their argument is that humble leaders are aware of their limitations and weaknesses, which allow for them to seek help from others around them. Such vulnerability often equates to respect from other colleagues within the organization, as some research has noted. Intellectual curiosity is another element to lucky attitudes, and those who are intellectually curious often question their environments. Any inconsistencies or gaps in skills and intellect are then addressed through rigorous learning and a journey to new pathways that wouldn't have been pursued while under the influence of arrogance. Finally, entrepreneurs who are lucky are optimistic. The authors posit that optimism gives leaders the inspiration to realize new possibilities and fruitful ventures. Paying homage to the cliche, optimists view the glass as half full as opposed to half empty. Had to get that right. Having a lucky attitude is only half of the formula to influencing luck. Forming lucky networks can expand one's luck by including those who are authentic, generous, and humble. As such, there's a fly in here. I'm sorry, pardon me. And such a network can provide a leader with tremendous personal and professional value. Both lucky attitudes, this fly is annoying me. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Both lucky attitudes and lucky networks can behoove leaders and entrepreneurs by guiding them through turbulent times in their professional and personal lives. What good is a book about entrepreneurship without practical advice for business leaders, both experienced and emerging? I would like to end this post by illuminating 8 pieces of advice the authors give in a chapter called Wisdom Manifestos. Advice number 1. Follow the 3 golden rules. People are always more valuable than ideas. A business model is more important than a financial forecast. An entrepreneur should focus their initial efforts on a niche as opposed to a broad market. Advice number 2 is simple. Be the best at something. Advice number 3, I'm sure you've heard before. Think big, start small, and scale fast. Advice number 4. Business models that survive are ones that depend on recurring customers and revenue. Number 5. Focus on the right customer and position your product to include must-haves features and not nice-to-have features. Advice number 6. Create an environment that is conducive to maintaining talented employees. Advice number 7. Create a company-wide culture that enables employees to hold themselves accountable. In the last and final advice, number 8, embrace failure because it is inevitable and it will happen often. I would now like to thank the authors Anthony Jian, Richard Harrington, and Sun Yan Hsei for writing this book. The book gave me a lot of insights as to traits of winning entrepreneurs. Also, I really appreciated the Wisdom Manifestos, which served me as a practical guideline for managing a small business if I ever decide to have one. If y'all like the subject material of this post, I fully recommend reading the book. And I will post the Amazon link down below. Thank you again to the authors. Also, I would like to thank you, the viewers, for making it this far in my long video. I appreciate your support. Please business smash that subscribe button. Post any comments that you feel would help improve my channel. What kind of content would you like to see? I'm curious. In the meantime, I'll be posting more videos like this. I've been reading some very interesting books on the topic of general management and entrepreneurship, so please stay tuned for more. Finally, I would appreciate it if you would head on over to my blog, mbahopefuls.com, where I post my worries about competing in the current job market and some strategies for how I plan to alleviate business competition. Thank you all so much. Let's accomplish our dreams and our goals together. Blessing.